Hey everyone, what is going on? This is my first video back on YouTube in like forever. I started this channel up a while back, but I really wasn't able to get a whole lot of content out there just because life happened. So I'm going to try to give it a go again and see what happens. So for this channel, I'm really thinking about posting a lot of Fallout 76 content, but I'm also planning on posting some content from other games, like maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 and stuff like that. So if that's something that interests you, maybe consider subscribing. So for this first video, we're going to talk about, is Fallout 76 any good? So without further ado, let's get started. So I know there's been a lot of hype surrounding Fallout 76 in the past 6 months or so, and I've heard mixed things about the game. So what I'm going to do for this video is give you guys a pros and cons list for the game based on my experience with the beta. Now keep in mind, this review is based off the beta solely, so improvements can definitely be made prior to launch. But to start out this video, I'd like to say I'm a traditional Fallout player and have definitely loved playing Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, and really appreciate the single player experience Fallout gives us. So when Bethesda announced they were going to be making a multiplayer Fallout game, I was very skeptical. And this Fallout is very different from its predecessors, but it's not necessarily different in a bad way. This game is like kind of like a mix between Fallout 4 and Destiny 2. Fallout 76 is basically what would be created if Fallout 4 and Destiny 2 had a baby. So it has aspects of Destiny, like the public events and stuff, but at the same time it definitely feels like a Fallout game and has the whole Fallout vibe. So the first pro of this game, in my opinion, is the immense size of the map. Guys, this map is absolutely enormous. It's 4 times the size of the Fallout 4 map, and I thought Fallout 4 was pretty big itself. There were so many cool places to explore and loot throughout the map, and really at first the map doesn't seem to be all that big, but once you explore around for a little while, you'll see how big it actually is. And since the map is so big, you won't be running into players as often as you might think, which is certainly a plus if you're a fan of the traditional Fallout experience. And there's something to be said for just being able to go out there and explore the wasteland alone. And I know you traditional Fallout players out there will appreciate that. And the atmosphere of the game was great too. The fact that the game is set in West Virginia just amplifies the whole Fallout experience that Fallout players are accustomed to seeing. And West Virginia is already kind of a creepy place as is and has tons of issues right now. And adding Fallout elements to it really completes it. I think if the game were set in somewhere a little more vibrant, like maybe say Hawaii or Miami, Florida, I don't think we'd get the same eerie vibe that make Fallout games what they are. So West Virginia is definitely a perfect setting for a Fallout game. Oh, and the radio station in this game is awesome too. It really goes with the whole theme of Appalachia. The next thing that I thought was really awesome about Fallout 76 was the overwhelming sense of things to do in the area. Whenever I was completing a quest or simply just walking around exploring, I felt constantly bombarded with things to do. And I mean bombarded in a good way. Between daily quests, public events, and just regular old quests, there was an insane amount of things to do in the game. And I really was never bored, at least for now. I think the sheer amount of content in this game will be one of the major aspects that draws people to this game in the first place. My only concern is that I might get a feeling of kind of what's next once all the traditional quests are completed. Like what will continue to bring me back to this game. I feel like Bethesda will need to keep the public events and daily quests interesting to make players come back for more once they've completed the traditional quests and the main storyline. But honestly, I'm sure there are over 100 hours of gameplay just in the main and side quests alone, so this isn't a huge worry for me right now. And the lighting in this game is also a major step up from Fallout 4. The way the sun shines through the trees in many areas is really cool to see, and it adds a more realistic element to the Fallout series. There are also tons of scenic views to be filmed throughout this game, and it really feels like Appalachia. And combat in Fallout 76 works well as well, and I'm a big fan of the real-time VATS system. At first I was kind of skeptical of this. I didn't like the idea of a real-time VATS system, but it actually works, really works very well. And to start off, you won't be able to target specific limbs, but there's a perk card within Perception that allows you to do just that. And PvP combat still feels a bit rough, and that's probably something Bethesda wants to fix before launch. It wasn't like completely unplayable or anything, but it didn't feel as smooth and natural as it could have. Crafting is also back from Fallout 4, which was honestly one of my favorite aspects of that game. Except this time you can choose where you set up your base, and you can move it in exchange for a small number of caps. Another strong point in Fallout 76 is the difficulty of the game. If you're an experienced Fallout player, the first 2 to 4 hours of the game will feel fairly easy, but there are definitely more difficult enemies later in the game. Tiered legendary enemies between 1 and 5 stars can be found throughout Appalachia, and the higher tier the enemy, the better loot they'll drop. I'm also glad Bethesda added survival mode components within Fallout 76. Having to constantly drink water or eat food can kind of be a pain in the ass sometimes, honestly, but it makes the game feel more realistic and makes survival more difficult, which I appreciate. You can also get diseases such as dysentery or lockjoint from drinking irradiated water or coming into contact with certain diseased enemies, and these diseases obviously have negative effects. In my opinion, this is a great addition to the game, and it adds a more realness to the Fallout world, which is really cool to see. Now let's talk about some things in Fallout 76 that I didn't necessarily like. So my main complaint with this game is that there are no NPCs. One of my favorite things about traditional Fallout games was the dialogue options and being able to actually talk to people and have conversations, have meaningful conversations. Being able to use speech or barter to convince someone of something to complete a quest was always a fun feeling, and I hate that these experiences will not be available in Fallout 76. Sure, there are robot vendors at train stations, and there's actually a super mutant vendor named Graham who runs around with his Brahmin selling things, but these interactions just aren't anywhere close to being as deep as they were in previous Fallout games. As a result of there being no NPCs, the storyline in Fallout 76 does take a major hit. All of the information you get in this game is from holotapes or notes, and at times I felt like I was reading a book more than actually playing a video game. And it's not that the storyline in this game is bad or anything, it's just not at the level of other Fallout games. So if you're expecting this year's Fallout game to have one of the best stories ever, you probably should temper your expectations a little, as the storyline is not the major selling point in Fallout 76. Although the lighting in some areas of this game is very good, there is some frame rate drops in areas further away from Fallout 76 towards the edge of the map. In a game this big, this can kind of be overlooked and kind of expected, and it doesn't bother me as much as it does some people, but I know there are some people out there who this definitely will bug. And lagging wasn't a huge problem for me in the beta. However, there were times that I did lag, especially when there's a lot of action going on. And there was the occasional glitch, like this ghoul that got stuck in the door. But it's a beta, so I'm not going to judge that too harshly. So all in all, I definitely enjoyed my 15 hours or so playing the Fallout 76 beta, and I'm looking forward to playing it on launch day. Although I would have preferred a traditional solo Fallout game, Fallout 76 is a nice alternative. Based on the beta, I would rate this game a 9 out of 10, and would recommend this game to pretty much anyone who likes open world games. If you enjoyed previous Fallout games, I highly recommend getting Fallout 76, because at its roots, it still feels like a Fallout game, even though it has elements of some other games sprinkled in it. So I appreciate you all watching this video, and hopefully it helped you to make an informed decision on the game. If you have any questions about Fallout 76, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll be posting more Fallout 76 content soon, and I'm actually planning on making a video with some tips and tricks on playing Fallout 76 as a solo player, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video.